friends. I'm your pal in the mainstream media.
And I'm the Riz.
And, you know, Riz, it takes years of strenuous, dedicated training before you're worthy to step inside a professional wrestling ring. But it takes even more time to develop complex, highly astute opinions about professional wrestling. Am I right?
That is correct. You know where we can find that?
Yes.
In the Wrestling Ham.
That's right.
Sidekick Media Services. We are your sidekick in business for social media, video production, and more. Find out more at sidekickmediaservices.com.
This show is a member of the Sorgatron Media Podcast Network. Find out more at sorgatronmedia.com. This show is brought to you by Slice on Broadway, supporting Pittsburgh podcasting with the perfect pepperoni pizza. Production services by Sidekick Media Services. And listeners like you, supporting us at patreon.com/awesomecast. It's time to get geeky, get awesome. It is the AwesomeCast. I'm Mike Sword, at Sorgatron on all the social medias and Sorgatron Media Studios in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, with your AwesomeCast this week. I got a special one. Katie is out on assignment doing Katie things, probably trying to round up more of them Hello Kitty, Ninja Turtle, Happy Meal toys, and trying other cities. So either way, we do have with us, first of all, back with us my usual compatriot from the iPhoneography podcast. It is, wait, I got a button for you.
It's Dave Partner.
Dave Partner, how you doing today, sir?
Glad to be here. Always glad to be here. Thanks for having me on.
And I know you got a lot of cool stuff to talk about, but first we have a super cool guest. Very literally, right? So we have with us podcaster, CEO, co-founder, host. You had a heck of a lot of cool titles, let's say. But Josh Dorfman is joining us of SuperCool, amongst other things. How you doing, Josh?
I'm doing great. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for coming on. And we today the discussion is going to be, for this first half of the show, is going to be about the environment. Well, or at least the cool tech, I guess, around the environmentalism. Am I saying that right?
However you want to say it, I'm sure it's it all works. Absolutely.
Excellent. And of course, we're no stranger to this. We were just talking about before the show. Dave's always really good about making sure we're talking about like EV tech and everything. We just talked about the Ford story last week, and you guys came across my email, and it really seemed like it was a fit for us to kind of dig deep in. I know we don't get too deep into the super. Well, we do kind of. But Dave brings a lot of really good stories to us, actually. First of all, tell us a little bit. What is SuperCool, and what are you guys doing with that over there?
Yeah, SuperCool is media company, podcast, newsletter, YouTube, getting into events, really with this premise that we are in a new moment, a new era around climate. A lot of people say, well, can we solve climate? Or if we're going to solve climate, do we have to sacrifice? Our view is that we're actually in this moment of adoption. There's been over a decade of nearly 2,000 climate tech companies that have raised growth stage capital. Not all of them have succeeded, but many have, and their technologies are now commercially available and scaling. You've got trillions of dollars literally invested globally now, year after year, in clean energy technologies, and you have thousands upon thousands of cities worldwide that have implemented climate action plans, turning their cities or portions of their cities into living laboratories for really interesting change. And so we think we're in this moment where the evidence says we can solve climate, we can cut emissions, we can grow profits, and we can enhance everyday life at the same time. And this is well underway. We kind of case study that, tell those stories so that people can go out and implement those solutions in their businesses, organizations, and cities.
Actually, and I want to talk a little bit about the podcast, some people you're talking with, but your background is really interesting. I found, I saw that you had a TV show and a lot of stuff around this, around the brand of the Lazy Environmentalist, back in, looks like around 2009-ish on the Sundance Channel. I did find a clip, by the way. So, because I'm like, if there's media, I'm going to find this thing. And apparently that was really hard, given how long ago it was. But yeah, what was the idea of the Lazy Environmentalist back in the day under that brand?
Yeah, I mean, the through line for me for 2 decades has been, how can we either build and communicate and identify solutions that enable us to live as well as we possibly can while reducing our carbon impact, and enable future generations to do the same. Oh, yeah, you found our little screener for the intro. And so the Lazy Environmentalist actually came out of a modern design, sustainable furniture company I had started in DC, moved it to New York. It was called Vivavi, like live life. And my first employee on her last day working for me, she wasn't moving up to Brooklyn when I moved there in 2004, called me out for being a actual terrible environmentalist in my personal life. And she's like, look, you're not my boss anymore. I'm going to tell you exactly how I feel about you. You are always in the shower. You barely recycle. You were going to throw your bed out. I took it to the homeless shelter. Yeah, you're selling all this green stuff, but you're basically like the worst environmentalist I've ever met. And like, you're a giant hypocrite and I don't understand you. Like, what is your deal? And that was all fair, all accurate. And so I decided to own it, wrote a little blog entry. I was like, look, I do my best thinking in the shower. I take long showers. I know I'm using energy to heat the water. I know I'm using a lot of water. I need a really awesome low flow shower head with great water pressure. I'll buy it. I want an Audi TT convertible. If it's biodiesel, hydrogen, electric, I don't care about the tech. But if it's like green and it's what I want and I can afford it, I'll do the green thing. I care, but I'm lazy. I need convenience. I'm an American. I'm a lazy environmentalist. And obviously, I mean, it hit a nerve. And so I got to New York. Someone called me up and said, hey, let's turn this into a little radio show. I said, great. I don't have a marketing budget. I'll happily do a radio show. The content was right. The timing was right. It ended up on Sirius Satellite Radio. It went live on Sirius. And then we turned it into this reality TV show. Yeah, where I'd go around America. I actually made the TV show with Dave Metzler, who had created Queer Eye for the Straight Guy back in the day. So it had this makeover. But in this case, we'd go find professionals that kind of at the top of their game. You know, it could be a fashion designer and say, hey, we're going to make you over and you're going to do green fashion. But we'd also do kooky things like funeral homes and exterminators. You know, you're killing all the bugs, but you're using all these pesticides and it's terrible. And, you know, get an exterminator be like, but I've got to kill the bugs. You don't understand. And then we'd go on a journey and see if we could kill bugs without, you know, poison. And so, you know, try and shoot lasers. We'd have fun. It was a pretty good show. It was a good time.
I think that really hits on a pretty good, you know, line, because you're just like, well, how can I do this job? You know, a case in point, I was just listening. I think when you popped in, I was listening to your episode with Amazon, and you know, you think of Amazon as like, oh my God, I'm so wasteful. I'm making somebody like drive me a package every day and all that kind of stuff. But it turns out I'm familiar with Rivian. I see the Rivian trucks. We talk to the Rivian reps all the time when I go to the SAE events for Formula in Baja. You know, so I know that that's a better, you know, option, and we're seeing more and more of those trucks on the streets. So I guess I feel less guilty about that now. So kind of situation. But you do see that, like that. You know, I think that is interesting to say. Well, the companies are doing this, therefore, you know, but I guess it is a question also of like, you know, a regular person doesn't have a lot of money to buy, like, you know, a biodiesel car, an EV car, things like that, the things in the house and stuff like that on a tight budget, you know, especially in this economy, what can, you know, other than sorting your recycling, you know, what can somebody do? You know, what are the little things that's affordable that people could do for themselves?
Well, it's a really good question. I mean, I think there's still a lot that individuals can do. I think honestly, one of the big things you can do is think about where you park your cash. Most of the major banks in America and across the world today actually are still underwriting a lot of fossil fuels, but there are other options. There's Climate First Bank that has savings accounts with pretty high interest rates on their savings accounts. You could park your money there. I mean, it's FDIC backed and you earn a nice return on your cash, and they don't underwrite fossil fuels. They underwrite renewables and solar energy projects. And that's probably the easiest thing to do because we don't, you know, it doesn't impact our daily life. It's just really like moving, you know, some screens on a computer, and suddenly you're probably having more of an impact just by that choice than many other things that you could, you know, if you were like, should I buy this instead of that? I mean, it probably doesn't make as much of a difference, but I would think about finances. That's a good starting point.
I never fathomed my bank could be an environmental issue. You know, as long as I'm not doing crypto or something, right? You know, generating all those bits and whatever, you know, that they
Even
need to
crypto, man. I mean, crypto. You know, we did a show in the fall with this company, CleanSpark, publicly traded crypto miner, because I wanted to understand what is the impact. You know, we hear all this impact, right? But they use a lot of nuclear energy. They have a lot of their mining operations in Georgia where that nuclear energy wouldn't necessarily get used otherwise. And so everything's far more gray, you know, than I think most people think. There's where it's everyone's like, oh, you know, crypto's terrible. They're crushing the planet. AI, so much energy. There's really so much more to the story than that.
We have, you know, obviously we were talking before we did an EV story last week, and a lot of people are, I don't want to say anti-EV, but they had like poke holes in it, right? I've had plenty of those conversations, right? And obviously, you know, we talk about them involved with, you know, we're just talking about Formula SAE EV, you know, and the question has always come up to me is like, well, how are we going to solve these problems of the battery technology, what we do with the materials, they're worse than anything else, and the grid and everything. And to me, it's like, listen, like I go do a workshop every year with 250 kids in a room literally trying to figure this out. I think we're going to be okay, because as long as there's money to be made in doing something cleaner, which all signs point to yes when it comes to something like this, and you know, it feels like that's kind of the path we would end up anyways, right?
Well, I mean, I would say a few things. One,
sure,
you know, EVs are so much more efficient than gas-powered cars. You can be on your same grid, and it's going to be far better for the environment to be charging up than if you're just going to a gas station and putting oil in your car. I mean, that's just for starters.
Yeah.
But if I hear the same thing about batteries, I would say two things. We talked to a company this past spring, fascinating company called Cyclic Materials. They're the first company in the world that has figured out how to recycle rare earth magnets that are in the motors of EVs. So the batteries, right, all of those now are starting to flow through recycling streams, and we're actually starting to move to a place, and you know, other countries have done this out of necessity, like Taiwan, because they're an island, but urban mining, right? We've got all of this waste here. It's not necessarily going to a landfill. In fact, a lot of those materials are extremely valuable. So you have Cyclic Materials, figured out how to get the rare earth magnets. When they're recycling, you know, when an EV is getting recycled, or you know, or the motor is getting recycled, all of that stuff gets reused. Then you've got companies like you know, Redwood Materials, a former Tesla guy who's basically built the largest battery recycling plant probably on planet Earth. It's also out in Nevada, not far from where Tesla has their Gigafactory. They're not alone. And so you're getting all of this infrastructure starting to come into place because all of that material has value. And so I think the naysayers who are like, well, you know, there's all this waste, you can't do anything with the batteries. I mean, one, that's just simply not true. And then the other thing I would say is, like, you're actually starting to see in places like Texas, because they have kind of the wild west of power grids, kind of like anything goes. So a lot of stuff gets done first there. You actually have utility scale battery storage, where the batteries that are being used are used electric vehicle batteries. So on the grid, helping to stabilize the grid, helping to capture all that solar and wind during the day that otherwise might go to waste because there's not enough people on the grid to use it.
Yeah.
It's actually getting stored in old EV batteries for use when people come home later at night and they start cooking and, you know, firing up all their stuff in their house. And so this is changing so fast. It's really a lot of misperceptions that, you know, that there are these huge problems that are, I think, like you said, Mike, that are insurmountable.
Yeah.
You've got entrepreneurs, you know, scaling up solutions right now.
I think, like, even I was just listening, you know, one of the tech shows I listened to was talking about how bad our electric grid is. And you mentioned Texas, which, you know, infamously has some issues. That was kind of, you know, what was that during an ice storm down there, right? A year or so ago. And they say that's, you know, due to deregulation and how they handle it and everything like that. But are you telling me that, like, is that the same thing that led to that problem is also leading to this solution? Am I interpreting that? Am I interpreting that right?
I wouldn't necessarily say, if you're saying the underlying dynamic that Texas wants to do things Texas's way.
There you go.
Then that I would say, yes, right? You will get positives and you will get negatives. But to say that it was, you know, reliance on wind or renewables that caused that situation, I think that would be a gross exaggeration and highly debatable. Mm-hmm. And I think it just gets into a place where people are coming to that particular debate with entrenched views that they're not going to change no matter what the evidence says.
Yeah,
right?
I'm with you on that. Yeah. So
it's an ideological debate. It's
I was just waiting for I was just waiting for people in the comments to connect those dots, and I want to make sure we got in front of it.
Yeah.
So
yeah, but you do see when, you know, the reason why you have so much wind in Texas
I've seen
is
them.
not because you know, Democrats were descending on the state and like, oh, we got to get more wind. It was George Bush who said, geez, we got to get smart on this, right? And when he was governor, and there's actually a lot of reasons why it's very affordable. And actually, when you look globally today, the two cheapest forms of new electric generation are solar and onshore wind. And solar is actually on a learning curve, right? On a cost decline curve, where if you extend that for another decade, I mean, it's gone on for 5 or 6 decades.
Yeah.
So it might change, right? It might not stay on this learning curve, but if it stays on this learning curve, where you get to a decade from now is trivially cheap energy, like abundant energy. Like everyone who likes sci-fi should be rooting for solar to get there, because what that could unlock simply by just suggesting that, well, the trend that's been on, you know, that's been on for 5 or 6 decades holds, could be really like the sort of the stuff of fantasy. I mean, you want to desalinize, you know, water. You want to, I mean, think about what you might want to do. Like the sci-fi future, you only get there with clean, well, never mind clean, just with abundant, trivially cheap energy. And so in my mind, what's happening with, you know, clean energy technologies today is the costs are becoming, you know, to a place where it's hard just on the economics alone to move away from renewables, which is why you see globally $2 trillion invested in clean energy in 2024. It's why the International Energy Agency is still saying, despite what's happening with the One Big Beautiful Bill here in America, $2.2 trillion is going to get invested globally in 2025, because these are the cheapest forms of energy in the world today. And I just find, to me, it's like, it's not a political argument. It's just like the costs are the costs. And if you want to generate energy as cheaply and abundantly as possible, pick those sources. You will invariably be moving toward renewables.
Tremendous.
Yeah. And also when it comes to AI, the explosion of AI will increase the amount of energy we need to use more than it was expected, which can be an issue because we don't have, you know, older power plants are shutting down, and we need to hit everything, you know, solar, wind, hydro, nuclear, you know, everything we can, but make it spread, because we don't know what's going to work long term. We don't know 10, 20 years down the line what's going to be best. So we need to spread out so we can hit everything as much as possible. And so I put a link in the doc for a website called Project Sunroof. So you can put in your address, and this is run by Google. So, trust it depending on how much you trust Google. And what it'll do, it'll tell you, based on your home and how much you actually pay per month in electricity, how long it'll take you to pay back an investment in solar. And it actually goes down to be like, here's the address.
I plugged in a not my address here just to get an idea what this looks like. Okay, so that's pretty cool. Because I've had that too. Because I've had the, hey, we can completely do this. And we talk to like the, hey, we'll put free solar on your roof. And they're like, yeah, your roof's not big enough and you have a chimney. I'm like, oh, thanks, I guess. But also, that was like a decate ago. So it might be worth me looking at this again, right? I got to put a new roof on the thing anyway, so so might as well, right? And I also find it fascinating because I come from north of Pittsburgh. I come from farmland, and a friend of mine gave me the heads up, and I talked to my sister when I visited. All the old the farms I used to work on and stuff back in the day, they're all turning into solar farms. They're all getting retrofitted, and it's incredible. So, and I know they were small family farms that probably aren't producing much in today's day and age with corporate farm or big farming and everything like that, right? So it's been interesting to see like even like my old dirt road back home is becoming part of this situation here. So I think it's really good to see. So,
Mike, if I could,
go ahead.
there's actually a project in Pennsylvania. I believe it's in Steelton, Pennsylvania, which I think is near probably the suburbs of I think it's down in western Pennsylvania somewhere. First town in America to go all electric with their student bus transportation system and have it run on solar power. By a solar farm, that's in their town. And so I just think that's so interesting because there's this view that, this is a bi-coastal thing, but does this really work in the heartland? Like you said, you see farms also moving to agrivoltaics where they have solar and you can still farm crops or have sheep or like have multiple things happening on land. But there are some really interesting examples. I just was really delighted when I came across this in Pennsylvania, this small town that had realized that moving to EVs was going to be far more cost effective over time than continuing to operate diesel school buses. And they had an opportunity to run it on solar, which was bringing down their costs of operation as well.
Yeah, so there's all these interesting use cases, right? And I guess we're already benefiting from technology. You talk about the 5 decades of solar that we've been through. The fact that we can get into an EV car and go 200 miles on a charge or whatever the case may be. I've seen the Ford F-150 Lightning truck. And obviously we talked about the story last week that's going to become smaller and more efficient, so I can have a Ford Maverick. In that kind of case, I picked up a Ford Maverick a couple months ago, so I'm now on the hybrid chain I figure step into it, right? So that's really interesting. So what is the, obviously we're talking about like the EV stuff, what are you most excited about coming up here? What is like the biggest breakthrough that is coming up that you kind of got your eye on?
Yeah, I still think that it's what's interesting about climate solutions. The question came up around AI and how much energy AI is going to use. AI is going to use a fair amount of energy, but it's still projected that as we're increasingly electrifying our homes, as we're moving to, I just interviewed a company today called Copper that has a induction range stove that has a battery inside the induction range so that you don't need to rewire your kitchen and run a 240 volt outlet to your, to be able to plug it in. You can actually just plug it in with your regular ordinary outlet, and suddenly you have this probably like the best cooking experience you can have. You're seeing these, so you're seeing more solutions like that are how people are going to be electrifying the way they live in their houses, because it creates the best solutions, the best quality of life, standard of living solutions. That stress on the grid is actually going to be a lot higher than AI. I mean, when you're just moving to more air conditioning because it's getting warmer.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of things that are straining the grid. What gets me particularly excited is the use of AI as a climate solution, to actually cut carbon. And I see it in the built environment. We talked to a company called BrainBox AI. They were acquired earlier this year by Train. BrainBox figured out a way to essentially go into any building. It makes a ton of sense in large, office buildings, office towers, warehouses, you name it, where they can predict with 96% accuracy who will be on a given office floor in 6 hours, right? Like, we know, like, the occupational, like, sort of floor print here, like who's going to be in the space. That gives us plenty of time to either slowly cool the space, slowly heat the space, do it in a way where we can actually use more energy when energy is cheaper on the grid, or do it in a way where when renewables there's more on the grid and the carbon intensity is lower. But overall, what enables us to not do is spike the energy at the last moment when everyone gets into that space, which is really expensive and also uses lots of energy. And so, by pulling in all these variables using AI, they cut the HVAC energy bill by up to 25% and the carbon emissions by up to 40%. They expanded within 5 or 6 years, BrainBox, into like 17,000 buildings. So it was so widespread that Train comes along and says, great, now we want to acquire you. We want to integrate this into what we're doing. And it works kind of across equipment, right? So you've got AI actually coming in a very delightful way, and making those spaces more comfortable for people who are in them. That's what I mean, like, enhances everyday life, cuts emissions, grows profits. It's a wonderful solution. So I see that in buildings. Coming back to student transportation, there's a company called Zoom, Z-U-M. Similarly, in the last 5 or 6 years, has taken over school bus transportation for 4,000 schools across the U.S. And what they do is they come in and they say, look, your kids aren't showing up to school on time because your bus system's incredibly efficient, because kids on the buses today are having the same experience as their grandparents or great-parents did in the last century. Nothing's been changed. So we can come in, we can optimize bus routes, we can use some AI, we can optimize the routes to make sure they're as efficient as possible, kids are getting to school on time. And as we optimize the bus routes and as we optimize the school bus system, we can then electrify the school bus system, because you don't need nearly as many buses as you're using inefficiently right now, which is what they did for the city of Oakland, is the first major school district in America to operate on 100% EV buses. And they went from having 136 diesel buses down to 74 electric buses, because they just didn't need all those buses, which made the electrification transition financially viable. And so AI unlocks that opportunity. And any company we talk to today, they're actually using AI to become far more efficient in how they're cutting emissions, growing profits, and enhancing quality of life for their customers, for folks as they're going about just regular living. So that, to me, is, I think, a trend where you often hear people talking about AI. You can hear Eric Schmidt, the former CEO of Google, saying, "Oh, one day AI might do something good, to save the planet." But it's actually happening now. And these solutions are proliferating, because what does AI do? It just makes whatever it looks at far more efficient. And that efficiency is really probably the most vital thing, right, to actually solving climate. We're going to need all these renewables, all this clean energy generation, and then you're going to need the most efficient system to use that energy in the most efficient way to drive decarbonization as fast as possible.
That's awesome. I want to make sure we touch base here. We have to go a little over my allotted time here, but you also started a company aside from the podcast where, am I getting this right? You are using grass-based building materials instead of trees. Can you explain that to me?
Yeah, that's exactly right. And so I started a company called Planted, Plantd. It's like the hipster spelling, with 2 former SpaceX engineers. And the idea that we came up with, we started by saying, hey, could we figure out how to grow something that grows faster than trees, pull carbon from the atmosphere faster than trees? Trees, obviously, as they grow, absorb carbon. We started with hemp, tried all sorts of biomass, eventually landed on this perennial fast-growing grass that will grow about 10 times faster than trees. Built this whole ag supply chain from tissue culture lab, where we're now using AI to actually run the tissue culture lab far more efficiently, get to plants, give those to farmers. Farmers are actually former tobacco farmers in North Carolina who are transitioning, from a 19th, 18th, 17th century crop now to a 21st century crop. And then we built up a first of its kind production facility in the US that has no smokestack on the roof. So it's a press where we slice up this grass, put a little bit of resin on it, run it through this long press, and out the other end comes a 4x8 foot sheet that's structural that you can actually nail to a 2x4 and build a house. And we started working on this 4 years ago. We have built some really incredible relationships with the biggest one is with D.R. Horton, the largest home builder in America. They build 1 out of every 7 homes. Just toward the tail end of 2024, we got an order from them for 10 million of these panels. It's enough to do about 90,000 homes. It is kind of a game-changing order for us, and will help us scale, into this industry. But yeah, by doing that, the whole premise is we pull carbon from the atmosphere. We don't give it back up a smokestack, so we actually store more carbon in these panels than we emit during the manufacturing process, which enables us to say these are carbon negative, meaning the more you build with these panels, the more you're actually pulling carbon from the atmosphere and locking it away, while you're also getting a house that's less, let me say it differently. It's more resistant to moisture. That actually has some really cool properties that embedded in our panels as well.
It's very cool. You're the conversation I needed today, because as we were discussing before, I feel like there's nothing but negative, like AI's taking all of our energy, all this important stuff's getting canceled from the top down. We're going back to coal mines and God knows what else. So I thank you for reassuring me that there's still some great work going on out there. Where can people follow what's going on with you, and where to follow this discussion further?
Yeah, thank you. First of all, this has been awesome. For anyone who wants to follow SuperCool, our website is getsuper.cool. Podcast is on every channel. We do a weekly newsletter where we also go deeper, these climate business briefings to talk about what's working today, what's scaling, who's doing it, and how you can find out more. That's probably the best place. Planted is plantedmaterials.com. Anyone wants to check out that venture. And then we are on all social. I tend to spend the most time on LinkedIn, so anyone who's interested could find me there.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Josh Dorfman of SuperCool. Which how'd you come up with SuperCool? Why SuperCool?
I had a bunch of terrible names, but I really was looking for that thing that was that just captured the essence of what I think this is. If I tell you about, every week I feel like I'm talking to companies where it's like, oh my gosh, you've got an induction range that has a battery in it, and now you have this awesome cooking experience and you don't have to rewire home. That's super cool, right? So it's seems to fit the conversation, and of course we've got to cool things down a little bit, right? Take the temperature down.
Yeah.
And people say super cool, so I feel like I get free branding, very often.
I feel like we're on the same page of our branding, like a name that is positive, but maybe doesn't entirely tell you what the podcast is about, but still fits. You know what I mean? like we're on, we're on the same page, right? AwesomeCast, what's this about? Awesome things, was a tech podcast. And
that's right. So, it's awesome. It's just awesome.
Well, if you want to stick around, we got to get into our awesome things of the week. We're going to talk about. We do have some more of the, you can't see it beside the microphone. We did get some of the Hello Kitty Ninja Turtle toys, and so we're going to be touching base on that. We're going to be talking about, I want to get into there's some spooky season, and I want to talk about YouTube AI that I was playing with, and a new device for the aging that I found on another podcast I'd like to talk about. And Josh, you're invited to stick around if you don't have to get going here for the next half hour. But in the meantime, thank you everybody that does support us on patreon.com/awesomecast. Thank you to our friends that do support the show. Again, we do live. We go live a little bit early, and we're live throughout the night, so you can stick around to the Wrestling Mayhem Show podcast afterwards and the in-betweens and all that we put out there. And even when we go to the videos, you see us kind of fussing around here as well. You don't get all those fancy graphics and videos, but you get our side conversations in between. But thank you everybody that does support the show, including Brian Crawford, Nancy Klosky, John DeGore, and Dave Ponder right here on the stream.
Right here.
Oh, well, you got the
With
things.
friends.
We'll get to those in a
teasing.
minute.
I'm teasing.
Yes, get all those show teases in there. Anyway, so thank you guys supporting the show, keeping it going, helping pay for the servers at patreon.com/awesomecast, and everybody that's been subscribing. Everybody new that's been talking with us. Some of the people, like I said, had some interesting opinions about some last week's discussions and everything too. So in the meantime, let's go see what Chachi has to say in the video game minute for this week.
Hey kids, welcome back to the Chachi Says Video Game Minute. Here's as much video game news that I can cover in under a minute. The 2022 Fast and Furious arcade game is finally getting ported to home consoles. On October 24th, you'll be able to download Fast and Furious Arcade on Nintendo Switch, PS5, and Xbox. As the kids say these days, it gives Cruisin' Blast vibes with a Fast and Furious skin. I'll ride with you, Toretto. And finally, Red Dead Redemption 2 moves up to become the 6th best-selling game of all time, passing the original Pokemon series with 77 million copies sold, and closing in on Mario Kart 8 that has 77.3 million copies sold. It's rumored that it'll be getting a Switch 2 release, which will catapult it to the top 5. Minecraft still leads this list with 350 million copies sold. Good luck catching that. Thanks for watching this week's Chachi Says Video Game Minute. We'll see you next time.
We are back, Wrestling Mayhem shows. Dave, that was a really...
Really?
What?
We're time traveling.
We were time traveling? Oh.
You're time traveling because you said welcome back, and you said Wrestling Mayhem show.
Jeez. Oh, well, you know. That's what happens.
It happens.
Well,
I just wanted to say before someone else may have online said, "Don't you realize what show you're on?"
No, I don't. No, I don't.
No.
All I know is it's Tuesday, and I'm talking about everything. So here we are. I want to make sure I don't switch to that anymore, since there's nobody on that. No, that was really cool. It was kind of a last minute came up, and they were available, and I was like, yeah, let's have a conversation. So,
always good to hear positive things too.
Exactly.
Like you said, it's unusual a lot of times to hear the positive.
Like I said, I just been slammed with all the bad news in general, but specifically around this stuff. And every time I throw a can in the receptacle, I'm like, why? It doesn't matter. So so it was really good to hear that conversation. And like I said, there's some really good stuff they have going on over there. I invite you guys to go check out that podcast, or at least follow their social medias and everything, get an idea of like those positive things that are happening. And I keep saying, like, they're happening. I'm watching them at these events, like they wouldn't be putting so much money in these events if this wasn't a thing,
Yeah.
So, and getting outside of what we see in the automotive industry as well. So let's get into our Dave, it's time.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Hold on a second. I gotta say, hold on. I'm just gonna go ahead and pull these up here. Let's see if you move the microphone here.
Okay.
Yeah. You see,
Oh dear goodness.
I may have a problem with. Oh no.
Oh no! Now you got a problem.
Now I got a problem. Okay.
We had a turtle quake.
We had a turtle Hello Kitty quake. Yeah. So we took a lot of shots at McDonald's in the last week since we met you last. It was not good for my diet. So I will tell you.
I'll say this though.
Yes.
Happy Meals are not the worst thing in the world.
No, they're not. You can get apples and I'm just getting chicken nuggets. You can
get the chicken nuggets. You can skip the fries and get 2 apples, and they are apples. So it's just it's apple, which isn't bad. And you can have water or a diet to drink. So I would say, in moderation, stealing from another podcast, in moderation, they're perfectly fine.
So I have 9. And it's not just me. My wife has been going as well, right? So and everything. We're like, well, let's just go get a Happy Meal. I want a snack. After we did our event, it's actually better than what we'd else do. I have 9 of these things, but I only have 4 unique ones. I have so many Raphaels.
I would say we also got a couple of Happy Meals, so we got two of them.
All right, so you got two of them as well. What do you got over there?
So I have a Raphael.
Okay.
Who's doing a slide. And I have a Donatello.
Okay. Oh, you have a Hello Kitty Donatello. I have a My Melody Donatello.
Oh,
a couple. Oh, I think I might have a couple of them. I still only have I have a second My Melody Leonardo that I showed off last week. But
I'll say this: I like the purple. That's a nice purple.
It is a nice purple.
It matches nice for Hello Kitty.
Oh,
You expect like a lavender purple.
This one doesn't even still has paper on it. I haven't even opened some of them because there's so many of them that we've had. So no, I just went because some of them were here at the studio, some were at the house, and I was like, well, oh, I haven't even opened this one. I haven't even opened this is okay. There's your Happy Meal ASMR going on here. Oh yeah.
The box, opening the wrapper.
That's
getting the tissue out.
That's my my Mikey. I wanted a Michelangelo. This is who is this? This is Cinnamon Roll, Michelangelo, and I think we scared our guest away with we're going to talk about McDonald's toys.
I mean, it's technology and pop culture.
It is. Listen,
and there's a lot of pop culture stuff going on that we find interesting.
So no, I think they're pretty. Yeah, they're really. Although these ones I couldn't figure out how to lay them anywhere because she's like laying down. So there's that thing. So at least we have like one of each turtle. Mostly in the green ones. What I have not found, I have not seen like the Halloweeny ones yet. So the other thing we learned: do not get multiples at one time. You don't get more than one Happy Meal like in a day, actually, because Missy got like two of them. They were all Raphaels. I got one when I got back from training last week. It was another Raphael, and the Raphaels we're getting are the.
Was it the same McDonald's you went to?
It's the same McDonald's, yes.
Okay, so I'm just wondering if it's like.
Around.
I was wondering if like a store. Here's your shipment of Happy Meal.
I'm wondering, yeah, and
it all has the same toy, and the next shipment may or may not have the same.
There was somebody on Reddit or somewhere that one of us read that said they went in the first day and just asked for one of each. You can do that. I do remember my grandmother just going in and buying just the toy, but back then it was like one a week. It was always right. Now it's just like, hey, you have a month to get like 10 of these, 12 of these, or whatever it is. And there are. So I have 4 of however many there are. There's a box over there that shows me, and then there's a bunch of them.
I want to say 12?
There's something like 12 of them. I have 4 different ones, right? So that kind of gets... So, yeah, I have a problem. and then, we're like, oh, we'll trade. I'm like, okay, wait till we're done. So we figure out how many Raphaels we have, and we can trade whatever we need to do. So... But yeah.
Now, I'll also say this. I'm a little disappointed about McDonald's about one thing. Because they also have a McDonald Land meal.
Yes.
And what you get in that is a little disappointing, it looks like.
So it depends. So we got Missy's been getting those too, because I think she likes to shake. This is blueberry purple shake kind of situation.
It's very pretty. We didn't get it, but it looks very pretty.
I think it's at the house, but you get a tin, and it's the old McDonald's characters, like your Fry Guys. I got Mary McCheese and things like that. And you get, and I grabbed one because Missy grabbed a couple of them, and I wanted to make sure Katie saw them because she loves stationery and postcards. And there's a postcard, and the whole thing is like a little play pack. It's like a sticker and a postcard, and there's a little passport of like the character and things like that, right? It's all about traveling to McDonald Land is the whole kind of scheme of this, right? It's very paper product, but the tin is nice. You got to admit, the tin is nice. That's where the money went.
From what I see, the tin is nice. My only problem is at least the store I was at, depending on what you're getting, either $15 or $16.
Oh, really?
For a quarter pounder, a medium fry, and the shake, and the tin being $15. That's a lot of money.
That does seem a little excessive. I
Yeah.
again, I haven't been there when she's picked it up, so I didn't know how much it was.
Now I went to the one up here in Penn Hill, so different locations,
like
you know how
a-
different prices are. But
yeah, they start on from $15 according to this. It's a McDonald's meal. Well, the shake is a several. I mean, a quarter pounder meal is something like $8 to begin with. And you're adding a toy, and you're adding a shake that's probably about $4. You know what I mean? Like, I think that's like, and it's a quarter pounder or a 10-piece nuggets are your options here. So, but either way, yeah, McDonald's is really kind of endearing themselves to us these days, aren't they? I'm going to stack these for the next show. And that is my awesome thing of the week is these, because this is going to be the mission for the next several weeks is doing these. I'm going to, like, as I mentioned, I'm going to South Carolina. I guess that was before the show. I'm going to South Carolina. I'm hoping, I don't know. I'm traveling with some SAE people, so I don't know if we're going to end up at a McDonald's. If I was traveling myself,
Well, okay.
I'd be going McDonald's. You know what? They got Happy Meals at the airport?
should.
I don't think they have a
But
McDonald's.
not
in
Pittsburgh,
anymore.
though.
No,
I don't think Pittsburgh has McDonald's anymore.
No, it turned into a Shake Shack or something.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So, but either way, so this is fun. I know I'm getting dupes and everything, and it's stupid, but this brings me joy right now, and I need it. So.
And I'll say this for the regular kids Happy Meal, I think it's $6.
Mm-hmm.
For a burger, fry, apple slice, and a drink is not the worst in the world.
No.
Price wise.
No.
You know, and I would say don't compare it to what things were 10 years ago.
Yeah.
Because prices went crazy and they're not coming down.
No, they're not. They're especially not. So there you go. That's the collection I have so far. Like I said, it's the My Melody Leonardo from last week, Cinnamon Roll Michelangelo, Hello Kitty Raphael.
Did you scan the play at all?
I did play a little bit of it to show. I think they're all the same, aren't they?
I don't know.
I'm not aware.
I imagine they probably are, though.
I also wonder, is this like the week 1 rollout? Is like when we get the week 2, 3, 4, are there different bunches?
Are they going to roll out the next batch?
Yeah. Is it like has
be.
anybody gotten? Well, supposedly that one person got all of them, but still, you know, there's a lot of them. I don't think I'm going to end up with all of them. I have 4 of them of 9. So, but these are going to be good eBay fodder for the ones I don't trade away. Hope people like Raphael's or need Raphael's or anything. So there's that. So that's my awesome thing of the week. Dave Potter, what's your awesome thing of the week?
Well, my thing is something I got today at Sam's Club. Now, it's spooky season. It's almost 85 degrees.
Spirit Halloween is open at the waterfront. I noticed.
So, and they have the big things up, the big inflatable event. In fact, they have a pumpkin that is in the shape of Mickey Mouse, an inflatable like 6-foot pumpkin.
Oh boy.
I didn't get that because that's a couple $100.
Okay.
But I did get, and this for itself is a pretty good deal.
Ooh, look
this
at that.
is like $35.
It's like a pumpkin diorama.
Exactly. And hold on, let me switches here. There we go. Oh, there we go.
Nice.
It's LED. Oh, let me make sure I twist it right here. It's LED lit up. So there's 2 different designs. There's a white one and an orange one. We just kind of like the white look here. So you got that purple background. You have the one LED on top. You have multiple little LEDs with the tree. This is, like you said, this is a nice little diorama of a scene here. And if you go to somewhere like Michael's, and even with the lights out, it looks pretty nice too. You know, sometimes with the light out, it doesn't look as nice. It looks nice with the lights out. But if you go to like Michael's, or that's all that's really left anymore, everyone else shut down. If you try just to get and this is the pumpkin itself feels like a hard plastic. It doesn't feel cheap. It doesn't feel cheap and light. It's got some heft to it. But if you just get the pumpkin on the outside, that a lot of times for something this size will be $15, $20. Easy. That's without anything else. So yeah, there's the orange one. And so that one has more of a face, and that's more of just like an entry for a window.
Yeah.
But like I said, it's pretty nice. They got tons there. But yeah, I know it's early, but I know a lot of people we know, a lot of friends of ours are Halloween 24/7.
Absolutely.
You know, Halloween, there is no such thing as non-spooky season. So, you know, having a little something like that, and again, for at least in my mind, a reasonable price for what you're getting is a nice thing, because this is something that you're going to get and you're going to keep multiple years.
And also related, Duncan is also handing out boo buckets. I saw one. The person in front of me at Duncan had one handed to them, and I was like, "Oh, don't tell my wife." She did see them on the shelves though, and I was like, "But it looks like last year's boo bucket." So, and I don't know, but it looks a lot like, I don't know if the design's different, but either way. So really into spoopy season, and I'm loving it. Let's see what else we got here in the back of the book here. I wanted to talk about this one. I've been trying to do some things with the videos. Obviously, you know, there's been some more clips. Dave, you've probably been tagged in a few of them, for instance. So over the last couple weeks.
A couple, especially on TikTok and on Instagram.
Yeah,
yes.
I'm making sure you guys know that you're on video. So hopefully you share them and stuff. And plus, if you get tagged, I discovered on TikTok, if you get tagged, then you can share it to your story when you see it, which
I've noticed that too. That's nice.
Yeah, so that's kind of something I was playing with. So I was like going in, and there was a whole thing like, hey, go on YouTube and you repost a video as a post on a different account. That should help and things like that. I'm just like going through. I'm trying to relearn YouTube for today, and kind of like funneling some stuff in there. So I'm in there and I'm doing the whole thing, and then I see the Gemini button, right? And I'm like, I wonder what this does. I'm on the iOS app, of course, and So I get in there, and it gives me a lot. This is the video that we just put out like a couple days ago from last week. It was about the Hello Kitty builder sets. Were kind of like, they were kind of like the I don't want to say knockoff Legos, but they kind of are, right? That Katie was showing off, and there was the ask about this video, and it gives you some recommend related comment. What makes builder unique? Where do I buy builder sets? And I went into it, and it actually went in and summarized a good bit about it. It does give you, it went through here and said, affordability. They offer budget-friendly alternatives to other construction brick brands. Haunted house costing around $25. And I like this. They actually give you timestamps citing the information that it's pulling from the video.
Wow.
Another heading's about the similarity to Lego. Builder sets similar to Lego, but feature different properties and characters. 23 seconds. Pieces themselves look like Lego bricks, making them familiar to fans of the building toys. 117. Collectability. Sets are collectible. Hello Kitty appeal. They leverage the beloved Hello Kitty brand characters. Accessibility. While they available at Five Below, Walmart, Target, and potentially Walgreens. Why do I say potentially Walgreens? Probably we just were unsure when we were talking about it. So I thought that was kind of a cool thing where you can, and I don't know if a lot of people are, and maybe that is a thing. So I get a lot of, I'm looking at YouTube explainer videos. I'm looking at, honestly, you know what I started this week? Because I was like, I've been doing the same thing. I'm starting to look at Planet Fitness hack videos. To figure that out, right? And they're all 10-minute explainer videos that get into something. And sometimes it's like, okay, I watched this one and it was really kind of I didn't like the tone of it, honestly, but there was some good information in there. That's where I feel like hitting that button is going to be like, oh, give me that information, blah, 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 blah. But
without
also,
having to watch the whole thing,
now are you doing a disservice to the YouTube video? Because are we getting credit for doing the AI on the video? Right? If a bunch of people hit the AI button instead of watching an hour of the show, I don't know. That's kind of another question that a lot of people in Google are talking about when you talk about news services and things are just nobody's coming to our site anymore because your AI is taking it, which is a whole other conversation that's happening, right? So is that do I encourage people to hit the AI button because it's going to help me get in front of people, or is that what I don't know about the back end. But on the front end, I was really impressed by how it did kind of break things down on this thing. And it does give you suggestions. They give you those starter questions and things like that, ask to summarize the video and all that kind of stuff. So,
well, let me ask you something, because I tried to see that on my app when you posted this. Mm-hmm. I couldn't find Gemini button anywhere.
Interesting.
I even tried to update my YouTube app, and it said it was updated. So
okay, so here, this is, let me do a quick
I just want to
thing.
make sure what I'm noticing, I'm either, oh, I don't have it, or it's a matter of,
So here's what I have going on over here. If this plays, oh no, it's playing the video full screen. Oh no, it's playing the video full. Well, we're just gonna watch this video here. But ideally,
okay, I thought she was going to do something else there when she
no,
went
no,
through the
this
throw.
because of this, hold on. Let me see if I can get into anything else. So if I get out of that, I can't even show you because it's okay. So let's say I get into this. I'm going to click on okay, our friend we just talked to, and no, it's going to play full screen. So how do I turn off AirPlay on this part? Play on this phone, and then it's going to take it away. Okay, all right. I can't show you there, Dave.
Okay.
So what I'm going to do is go over here and show you. I'm in this video. All right, we're going to do it the old school way. See,
Yep.
you see the ask button in the middle?
Okay, in the middle.
That's
In
what
the
you're
middle,
looking
ask.
for. So
Okay.
we're looking at this super cool thing.
Okay.
I'm going to hit ask.
You see, I wasn't looking for ask per se. I was looking for a button that said Gemini.
I was like, so I didn't even see ask. I saw the symbol. Right, it's got that little star thing.
Okay.
So, and once again, this is a video. This is one of the SuperCool podcasts, the guy we just talked to, and which this actually was really. This would be really handy for a long podcast like that. You know what? This is really helpful for. And they already do a really good job about chaptering these things. But you know how I was talking about last week? I wanted to get a summary in ChatGPT and have it tell us if there was some information about certain things that I'm interested in. This can do that. Product we didn't even get into the bike stuff that he was into. Product features recognition, market expansion in North America, omni-channel strategies. You can tell like, oh, this is going to be a little too heady for me when we're talking about omni-channel strategies. Community lifestyle, benefits of cycling, bike-friendly cities. So like that's that's the kind of thing you're doing on. That's is. And the SuperCool podcasts are, they're very business centric plus environmental. So it's kind of informationally dense, right?
Okay.
As would be, hey, actually, there's an office hours underneath this, and it doesn't have the ask button. Very interesting. Now, this was streamed 10 hours ago, so I'm wondering if that has something to do with it. Maybe it hasn't been processed yet. So I think this is a stream. Or at least it was posted 10 hours ago. So that
it also may be a difference between a stream and a video that's been uploaded.
I think it's a repost. So I think it has been, but it is an hour, and it was posted 13 hours ago versus like a day ago, like the other one might have been. So yeah, the one I just pulled up was from 13 days ago. So maybe had time to get into the AI and everything, right? So very interesting. So that's one thing I got to play with. So talking about the AIs everywhere.
And honestly, that to me is not, if you will, cheating on it, because when you come to, let's say, technical papers, highly technical papers that get published in journals, they always have an abstract in the front. So that and normally that's a free thing. So if you have a journal where you have to pay to have access, normally they will give you the abstract at no cost, and that'll tell you, here's the introduction, here's a review of what we did, here's a summary of our conclusion in a paragraph or two, so you can see, is it worth your time now to do a deep dive with the rest of the paper? So I could see that being a summary, because there are some YouTube videos that have good summaries, so you know what you're getting into. And some of them, because people just, honestly, if you have an hour video, you don't necessarily put the time for a good summary. You don't have a summary there. You have the title, and it's, let's say, an hour long, and you're like, I may like it. It may be of interest. I'll start listening to it, and if it isn't, then I'll stop. But if you know that, hey, here's a kind of outline and a high line, high level what we're going to do, you're like, okay, this is something worth my time.
So, exactly. So, well, hey, we're hitting the end of our time here. We had a great conversation with Josh here at the beginning of the show. Super cool podcast. Go check that out. Again, that is, let me give you that website here. I had a bunch of them in here. Main site, getsuper.cool. They have a .cool domain name. We could get an AwesomeCast.cool. That'd be awesome. Oh, I did it. So, but you know what? Hey, tell you what, on Patreon, we got a few stories here, partner. So let's hold off till Patreon and talk about the device for assisting aging, and you editing potties. Why did you send me a video on the group of you editing potties? So
It's more about the editing, less about the potty.
Less about the toilets, more about the editing. Got you.
Exactly.
Okay, what a week for Katie not to be here. And there was a play instantly. Oh yeah, we'll talk about maybe a little bit on that play instantly on Discord thing too. So those will be on the Patreon. If you're on the patreon.com/awesomecast, get a little bit more about what we think about these stories and everything. But thank you so much once again to our guests from SuperCool and again Dave Potter of the iPhoneography podcast. Please follow that as well. You have like you have like two podcast suggestions out of this episode, so don't forget about us when you do that. Or you can just have AI. If you don't have time to listen to all these podcasts, we are generating. We started this on Substack and on Patreon. We are generating a newsletter version of the show that should have a lot of the conversations summarized in there, along with links to things that we got into. We just want kind of the Cliff's Notes version of what we do. So because we know everybody gets busy and stuff, that's the other reason why we're putting all the clips out and stuff. So you can kind of dig into the thing you like, when you don't like when we go off about EV cars for some reason or Ninja Turtle Hello Kitty toys and want to get to the meat of things. That's an option for you guys out there. So we're putting that out there and hope people are enjoying that. Have an awesome week. That's the wrong one. This button here. This show is a member of the Sorgatron Media Podcast Network. Find out more at